Good morning, all my Dharma friends or friends. So happy to see you again in Sunday class. So before we start our Dharma class, make sure we have a pure motivation for achieving happiness for yourself, achieving happiness for others, all sentient beings. Based on this great motivation, first, everybody concentrate about your own breathing in and out for few times. That means you just, your mind, all your mind, only absorb, only focus on your breath in and out. When we are focusing on our breath in and out, different thoughts pop up. Just ignore the thoughts. Continuously focus on the breath in and out. Then next step, after you breathe in, you stop the breath as much as you can. Then when you relieve the breath out, relieve very slowly, gently for a few times. Stop, relieve gently, breathe in and stop as much as you can. And release slowly, gently. Next step, after you exhale, breathe out. Also, you can stop for a while. Don't breathe in. And breathe in and out and stop as much as you can. And breathe in very softly, gently. Now, slowly, you visualize the Buddha Shakyamuni according to the picture which is we use for many times. Without looking the photo, please visualize the Buddha Shakyamuni image according to the picture. Within the visualizing the Buddha Shakyamuni, please have a thought, wish to be Buddha as Buddha Shakyamuni, wish to free from suffering. Therefore, first do 3 prostration to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Please do 3-time prostration to the Buddha Shakyamuni and all other Buddhas in 10 directions, Dharma and Sangha. Next, taking refuge to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami Dharma Sharanam Gacchami Sangha Sharanam Gacchami Buddha Sharanam Gacchami Dharma Sharanam Gacchami Sangha Sharanam Gacchami Buddham Sharanam Gacchami Dharma Sharanam Gacchami Sangha Sharanam Gacchami. So we need to take refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until we become a Buddha, until we free from all types of sufferings. Next, please meditate on the Four Noble Truths, the truth of suffering and the origin of sufferings, cessation and the power to lead to cessation. Means first everybody contemplate about the sufferings which is we have, which is all sentient beings have, the sufferings of suffering, like sickness, disease, aging and death, and changing of suffering, which is the samsaric, the pleasures, the samsaric happiness, then the pervasive suffering, which is the actual, the truth of suffering, which is the contaminated, which is originated from ignorance, affect emotions and karma. Please reflect on the sufferings. So we everybody, even though the animals can have a strong desire to free from, overcome the suffering of suffering, like a disease, sickness, aging, death, all the problems. Second, as a human being, we are not only seeking the happiness which is only free from the suffering, we are also seeking free from changing of sufferings, which is the samsaric pleasures and samsaric happiness. Since we born until today, our mind very much attached with the samsaric happiness, samsaric pleasure. The happiness which is we are seeking, the happiness which is we having our everyday in daily life. We consider these are happiness. Actually, these are suffering, suffering of change. For example, when you feel so thirsty, you drink a lot of water, you feel happy, you feel happiness. And after 1 hour, half hour later, you feel there's a sufferings due to drinking a lot of waters. Also, we are very much attached. We are always indulged with the samsaric pleasure, like living in the luxury house, using very nice cars. Those also we can have a short time happiness. The short term happiness is also suffering of change. Also, so almost the average of the people on the planets, they were very much indulged with the physical, pleasure from the physical relationship. The, the pleasure arises from physical relationship. It lasts for only short time. The short-term lasting happiness also is a changing of suffering. Then the third, the pervasive suffering, which is the contaminated, the physical body, which is caused by ignorance, afflictive emotions, and karma. This is the actual suffering, the basis of suffering. So, through practice of Dharma, we are not seeking happiness. Also, we are wish to free from all kinds of suffering, particularly free from this kind of physical body. So please reflect on the three kinds of sufferings. The three types of sufferings which is we have is arise from causes and condition, namely ignorance, attachment, desire, anger, hatred, pride, so and so. Please reflect on the disadvantage, the falsity of all the afflictive emotions. wish to achieve the cessation, which is cease the ignorance, afflictive emotions, which is cease the three types of sufferings. Please have a strong aspiration to achieve cessation. Cessation can be achieved if we follow the pure path, the pure dharma, mainly the pure practice of three mind trainings. As a Buddhist, the three mind trainings is a foundation. And this day, many people all over the world, particularly the many people who lives in Singapore, Europe, and America, they have a lot of depression, anxiety. The sickness of depression, anxiety is very serious problems. In order to overcome from the depression, anxiety, you always need to practice the three mind trainings. In order to overcome from the depression, make sure you don't, let you yourself don't let go in the depression. If you have a certain kinds of depression, you must know how to overcome from the depression. In order to free, or in order to overcome from the depression, first you have to be very busy, physically, mentally, be busy. Then slowly you try to put habits to think more positive side, the positive things. The people, the person who are in depression, the person cannot really think the positive way. They always have a lot of the negative thoughts. So in order to free from depression, you need to practice three mind trainings. In order to free from anxiety, you need to practice the contentment. Also, you need to realize the actual situation. So this is I want to talk to you beginning of the class. Next, we will start the part for the lamb for the path to enlightenment. Lamb for the path to enlightenment. So as a Buddhist, the enlightenment, liberation, Buddhahood is our highest goal to achieve. In order to achieve the goal, we need to practice the path. The path is look like a lamp to illuminate the ignorance, illuminates attachment and desire. Therefore, the path, the lamp, path to enlightenment. Without leading a light, we cannot dispel the darkness. This is an analogy. The actual meaning, without practicing compassion, love, you cannot eliminate, you cannot dispel the darkness of anger and hatred. Without having light, the wisdom which realizes emptiness, selflessness, you cannot dispel the darkness of ignorance. So at the beginning, please make sure, as a Buddhist, the highest goal is Buddhahood. Then the medium types of goal is only liberation, liberate yourself. Then the lowest goal, the simple goal, is to achieve happiness in samsara. Always try to achieve the samsaric happiness. So we have 3 goals. The highest one, Buddhahood. The next one, liberation. Then the next one, achieving samsaric happiness. So in order to achieve any of the 3, we have 3 practices. The simple goal, which is the samsaric happiness. Don't want the lower realm sufferings. You always need to practice the 10 virtues action based on taking refuge to Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Always practice the 10 virtues action. Never try to engage into the non-10 virtues action. The second one, liberation. Only liberation. Liberate yourself. In order to achieve only just liberation, then you need to practice the 4 noble truths with the 3 mind trainings. So when you practice the 4 noble truths very precisely, the 4 noble truths you must practice with the 12 links dependent originations. Then the last, the highest goal, which is Buddhahood. In order to achieve Buddhahood, you need to practice the 10 virtues action based on taking refuge, then 4 noble truths with the 12 link interdependence, then bodhicitta. Therefore, there are 3 different achievement goals. Therefore, there are 3 different paths or 3 different lamps to achieve 3 different goals. Please make sure you understood the 3 goals, 3 paths. Therefore, all the Buddhist people who consider themselves, I'm Buddhist, we can include only 3 kinds of practitioners. Ones only practice the Dharma, only wish to be happy in the samsara, always try to achieve the samsaric happiness. Then there are another, types of Buddhists who are not seeking the samsaric happiness. They totally ignore the samsaric happiness, wish to free from the samsara, free from samsaric happiness, free from the cause of the samsara, and achieving liberate themselves. They never consider other wish to be, they never consider, I will take the responsibility, other to be happy. Then there's another type of Buddhists who only wish to be Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Those practitioners take refuge to the Tribal Gem, always practice the 10 virtues action, the 4 noble truths with the 3 mind trainings, then plus bodhicitta. So now, as a beginner, it's up to you which path you wish to practice. It is up to you which achievement you wish to achieve. You have to be very serious. You have to be very practical. If you think, I really cannot practice bodhicitta, then you can practice the 4 noble truths with the 3 mind trainings and detailedly the 12 dependent origination. Try to achieve liberation. Liberate yourself. If you think, I don't think, and I have the ability to achieve liberation, then you can put effort to practice the 10 virtuous actions based on taking refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. If you're able to practice the 10 virtuous action, only the 10 virtuous action based on taking refuge, then you also, free from certain types of sufferings. Therefore, at the beginning, I try to explain which achievement you wish to achieve among the 3, which path you wish to practice among the 3 paths, what kind of practitioner you want to be among the 3 practitioners. Therefore, please everybody open the lamp of the path to enlightenment. The lamp for the path to enlightenment by Adisha Dharma Shrijana. Adisha Tipamkara Shri Gyan or Shri Jan. He was born 982 and passed away 1054. That means I think 1,400 years ago. That means I think around 9 or 10th century. So Adisha was, we can say Adisha is. So Adisha was born in a noble family. The family was very rich. His father was a king. He has a few brothers and sisters. Somehow he became very scholar. He studied first all the Hindus, religion, literature, everything. Then he became a Buddhist. Then he became very famous practitioner, scholar in Vikramshila. In the ancient time in India, there were 3 important Buddhist universities. The first one Nalendra, second Vikram Shila, third one Takshi Shila. Adisha was mainly studied at the Vikram Shila. Also, he studied in Nalendra. He became one of the top, scholar. Also, he was very serious practitioner. He really wished to practice bodhicitta because he was very much seriously wondering, seriously thinking which path is the best path to achieve Buddhahood, right? Therefore, Adisha was walking around the Bodhi tree at the Bodh Gaya. He was thinking which path is the best to achieve Buddhahood. Then there was a Aryatara statue. The statue speak to him. He said, bodhicitta is the best path to achieve Buddhahood. And he got very strong aspiration to practice bodhicitta. Next few days, he was keep thinking about again, is bodhicitta is the best practice to achieve Buddhahood or not. Then he saw in the sky, there were two Dakinis was discussing about bodhicitta. Both of them agreed bodhicitta is the best path to achieve Buddhahood. And also in his vision, in his dream, he has a lot of, dream about practicing bodhicitta. Therefore, so he went to Sumatra to meet Guru Selingpa. So he traveled by boat for 11 months and stayed with him for 12 years to study, practice bodhicitta. Then he returned to India. Then he got a request from one of the Tibetan king asking him to come to Tibet to purify the misunderstanding about Dharma. There are misunderstanding about between Sutrayan and Vajrayan. Many practitioners only practice Sutrayan. They fully criticize about the Vajrayan. Also, many practitioners, many monks and nuns, they try to practice the Vajrayan, Tantrayan path. They totally ignore the Sutrayan practice, particularly practicing Shila, like moral. Therefore, Adisha mainly went to Tibet when he was, around 70 plus. Then he stayed in Tibet for many years. This is the simple history. If you want to know, please read in the Lamrim. There's a biography of Adisha. Therefore, at the beginning, homage to Bodhisattva, the youthful Manjushri, Bodhisattva. Therefore, he thought bodhicitta is very important. Therefore, he paid homage to Bodhisattva and youthful Manjushri. Now you can say Bodhisattva and Manjushri is showing us we need to practice bodhicitta with the wisdom with the bodhicitta. Then we can achieve Buddhahood. If you only practice bodhicitta, we cannot be Buddha. If you only practice wisdom, which realizes emptiness, we can achieve only liberation. We never become a Buddha. So in order to practice, in order to achieve the highest goal, which is Buddhahood, we need to practice bodhicitta and the wisdom. Therefore, homage to Bodhisattva, the youthful Manjushri. I pay homage with a great respect to all the victorious ones of the three times. So he pay homage to all the Buddhas of the three times. That means present, past, future. Therefore, when you do prostration to the Buddha, you must think, I'm going to prostrate to the Buddha who exist in the past, who are existing now, who will come in the future. Also, when you pray to Buddha, also you need to remember all the Buddhas into 10 directions and 3 times, past, present, and future. Therefore, I homage with a great respect, not just homage, with a great respect to all victorious. They are victorious from ignorance. They are victorious from samsara. The next line, to their teaching and to those who aspire to virtues. So when we pay homage to Buddha, make sure we must know I need to homage to his teaching. This shows us, many of us, we always pray to Buddha, we pay respect to Buddha, but we are not much serious about his teaching. If you only seriously pay respect to Buddha, homage to Buddha, making offering to Buddha, not his teaching, you never be happy, you never achieve the lasting happiness, you never be free from suffering, you cannot reduce your negative thoughts. Only, pay homage to the Buddha. Second, the teaching. Therefore, at the Buddha lifetime, Buddha asked one of the disciple in front of Buddha Shakyamuni. There's books or volume like Dharma books of the Prajnana Paramita. At the same time, there's a Buddha's statue made of gold. That means there's a teaching, there's a book, there's the golden statue. The Buddha asked the disciple, which one you want? The golden statue, the Dharma books. Then the disciple, he get up, first he touched to the Buddha's, the golden statue, put on his head. He left the statue on the table, and second, he chose the teachings. For us, if somebody offer, ask you which one you want, the golden statue and the books, definitely we want the golden statue because it's very expensive. We can make a lot of money. The disciple, he fully pay respect to the Buddha statue. Actually, he chose the teaching. And what did he say? It doesn't mean I didn't have a respect to the Buddha statue. I fully respect to the Buddha statue, but I want the teaching. Without teaching, there cannot be Buddha. All the Buddhas who achieved Buddhahood, who became a Buddha, they became a Buddha because of the Dharma, because of the teaching. For us, yes, we must pay respect to the Buddha and the statues, picture, painting. The most important for us is the teaching. For example, when we are sick, seriously ill, we need to see a doctor. We must have a doctor. Then the doctor will give us prescription to get medicine, to buy medicine, and us to take the medicine. We must respect to the doctor. Also, we must, take care. We must respect his prescription. Among doctor and prescription for you, which is most important now? The prescription, the unmistaken prescription. Then take the medicine. Therefore, here you can say Buddha's and teacher and his Victoria ones of the 3 times to their teaching and to those who aspire to virtues, urged by the good disciple Changchu. I shall illuminate the lamp for the path to enlightenment, urged and requested by the disciple, not only disciple, Adisha said, good disciple, namely Changchu. Changchu was the one of the king in part of the Tibet. He sent many Tibetan to request to Adisha come to Tibet. When Adisha reached to Tibet, the king considered as a good disciple because not a king, because of the king. No, he was a king. He was a disciple, very good disciple. Why? He never requested to Adisha give an initiation, empowerment, emptiness, Heart Sutra, Vajrakhat Sutra. He didn't request like that. He made a request to Adisha. He said, Venerable, respected Adisha, please give a teaching which is benefit for all Tibetan in Tibet. Then Adisha was very amazed, feel very amazed about the disciple. So therefore he thought, the lamp of the path to enlightenment is the best to give. So before Adisha, there was no lamrim, namely there's no lamrim. All the Buddha teaching are lamrim, but they don't have the term, say lamrim. Since Adisha, then we have so many different, types of lamrim. Therefore, I shall illuminate the lamp for the path to enlightenment. This is the homage and introducing the disciple of Changchu. The second stanza. Understand, there are 3 kinds of person in Buddhist, or 3 kinds of practitioner. Because they are small, middling, and supreme capacity. Capacity is very important. You can say small capacity, middling capacity, supreme capacity. Because in the Sanskrit, they say Purush. Purush means have a ability, have a capacity is very important, the capacity. For example, you have a lot of water. The water cannot be fit in one container, 3 container, 4 container. So you need to find the big container which has a capacity to hold all the water. The capacity, the term is very important. If you have a small capacity, you have a very small ability to practice Dharma, then you cannot practice like bodhicitta, emptiness. You don't understand. You cannot practice because you have the small capacity to practice, to study, to understand the Dharma, small capacity. Then there's another types of Buddhist who follow Buddha teaching as the middle types of person who has a middle capacity. He has a middle capacity. In the capacity, he can fit the middle kinds of practice, cannot fit the great practice. Therefore, 3 types of person who has 3 kinds of capacity: small capacity, middle capacity, medium capacity, and great capacity. Therefore, there are 3 types of practitioner. Because of there are small, middling, and supreme capacity. That means small capacity, middling capacity, and supreme capacity. I shall write clearly distinguishing their individual characteristics. Make sure 3% mean 3 kinds of practitioner, mean 3 kinds of person who has 3 different capacity. Now you seriously need to check yourself. What types of practitioner you can be? You can be small capacity Buddhist, the middle capacity Buddhist, the supreme capacity Buddhist. What kind of capacity you have? At the beginning, if you think I have a very small ability, capacity to understand, to practice, follow the Dharma, you just, it's okay, you be, it's okay to be the small capacity person. Then after a few years, you study, practice the Dharma, then you can change, you can transform into the middle capacity practitioner. Been for the middle capacity for few years, then you can be the supreme capacity person. Therefore, you really need to check, what kind of capacity you have. Without checking your ability, without checking your capacity, you try to practice bodhicitta, emptiness, vajrayana, tantrayana, you cannot achieve anything. So please make sure you need to analyze what kind of person you can be. Therefore, he said, I shall write clearly distinguishing their individual characteristics. Then next, stanza number 3. Know that those who by whatever means seek for themselves no more than the pleasure of self-existence are person of the least capacity. Know that those who by whatever means, whatever practice they do only for seeking for themselves, no more than the pleasure of secular existence, are person of the the least capacity. So if you do Dharma practice, like meditation, recitation, chanting, making of whatever you do, Dharma practice, you are doing only for achieving the samsaric happiness, samsaric pleasure that you consider to be the last, the least capacity. That means you consider to be the small being who has a small capacity. When you reflect yourself, you will notice, most of my practice I mainly do only to be happy this life, happy next life, happy after next life. You only seeking the samsaric happiness, samsaric pleasure. It's okay, you can be small capacity person. Right? If somebody asks, what does mean small person? What does mean small capacity person? The answer is here. Know that those who by whatever means seek for themselves no more than the pleasure of second existence are persons of less capacity. That means the small person, small capacity, the less capacity. Stanza number 4. Those who seek peace for themselves alone, turning away from worldly pleasure, and avoiding destructive actions are said to be the middling capacity. So this is the meaning of the middling person, the medium types of capacity person. Mean those who seek peace for themselves alone. Themselves alone. Say themselves alone. That means what is their achievement is only liberation, the peace for themselves. What is the practice they must do? Turning away from worldly pleasure. They totally ignore about the samsaric happiness, samsaric pleasure. That means they fully renounce. They fully develop the renunciation and avoiding the destructive action, include the negative emotions, are said to be the middling capacity. Also, you need to check your capacity, what kind of practitioner you can be, you want to be. If you think, I'm not, seeking the samsaric happiness, samsaric pleasure, I want to be arhat, I want to be free from samsara, then you need to practice renunciation, turning away from the worldly pleasure. In order to training away the worldly pleasure, again, you remember, at least if you overcome from the root of the samsara, that means if you wish to be arhat, free from suffering, free from second existence, you have to be free from the root of the samsara, which is ignorance and rest of the emotions and the karmas. Then you can achieve liberation, you can achieve the ultimate peace. Those who seek peace for themselves alone, turning away from the worldly pleasure and avoiding destructive action, are said to be middling capacity. In Lamrim, if you want to study, Lamrim is mainly need to study ignorance, action, so and so. Then stanza number 5, the supreme capacity. Those who, through their personal sufferings, truly want to end completely all suffering of other are person of supreme capacity. That means supreme capacity meaning those who through their personal sufferings truly want to end completely. Is very important. So when we practice compassion, love, we must practice compassion based on our own experience. When we have a lot of suffering, how do we feel? When we have a lot of problems, how do we feel? Right? So based on our experience, somebody verbally torture us, we feel very upset. We feel very unhappy. Therefore, we should not use the harsh word for other, is hurt other. When we get angry, we feel very unhappy. So when we practice compassion, we feel the anger reduce. Therefore, before we practice love and compassion other, first we have to practice based on our own sufferings. Therefore here, those who through their personal suffering truly want to end, not end completely. So when we have a suffering, we wish to end the suffering. We wish to end suffering completely. Therefore, when we see somebody has a lot of suffering, also then we can wish the person, free from suffering, cause of suffering. All the suffering of other are person of supreme capacity. So today we discuss Saturday about the biography of the Adisha. Then all Buddhist practitioner, we can include into 3 types of person: small person, the middle person, great person. The small, medium, the great, based on the capacity. If you have a small capacity, you consider small person. If you have a medium capacity, we consider, we are the middle capacity. If we have a great capacity to practice compassion for all sentient beings, then we consider, we include into great capacity. Therefore, everybody, until next Sunday, you need to check seriously what kind of practitioner I can be, I want to be. Small person, medium person, a great person, based on your capacity. So the Buddhist practice, actually our daily practice, we must start from the ground, build solid foundation. Then we can build first store, second store, third store. Unfortunately, many of us, we didn't have a solid foundation. We tried to build 3-store buildings. Therefore, the buildings collapse. very often. And sometimes we see, we never know which store it is. First, second, third is total collapse. Therefore, our practice like that. If you reflect on your practice, you never know what kind of practice you have been doing. Sometimes we never know, am I Buddhist? Am I non-Buddhist? Am I a religious person? Non-religious person? Because without analyzing our capacity, without analyzing our daily practice, we have been doing the Dharma practice for many years. Because most of you are beginner, you need to have the solid foundation. You must have a, final decision. What kind of Dharma practice you want to practice? What kind of person you want to be? Small, medium, great. If you wish to be small capacity person, it's okay. Serious be serious about small capacity. Be serious about the middle capacity. Be serious about great capacity. At the beginning, if you practice the small part for a few years, then slowly you can change your practice into middling, the middling to the supreme capacity. That means you're really going to build the foundation step by step. Then you can have a solid foundation to practice bodhicitta, to practice Vajrayana. So next we will study mainly the supreme capacity. So since today, please everybody, read the Lamb of the Path maybe once a day. It was only 4 or 5 pages. If you could memorize, it's only how many pages? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 6 pages. Please try to memorize the Lamb of the Path, the root text of all the Lamrims. The page is very little, but it concludes all the practices. So we can stop here. If there's we can have a discussion. Okay, so we have a half hour, so we must have a discussion. Also, if you have any question, please ask me question. And also, I don't want to tell the name. Somebody asked me, I received a question. They said, when I do meditation, I cannot focus on one single object because my mind is cannot really focus on one object. So how I overcome this problem? Saying is very easy, practicing is very difficult. In our daily life, within 1 hour, we have done so many things without having proper awareness, without having the proper mindfulness. So we are really lacking, awareness, mindfulness. As a foundation to have a good awareness, mindfulness, whatever we need to do with the mindfulness, do with the awareness. Do one action, complete one action, then move to next action. For example, at the same time, we are eating like a food, we are talking to someone, we are watching to someone. So within short time, we have a lot of activities: eating, talking, watching, also listening. Therefore, within short time, we have so many thoughts pop up in our mind. Therefore, as a beginner, please do your daily action, whatever action. The action must be done with the mindfulness. For example, oh, now I'm having my breakfast. Now I'm eating bread, omelette. Oh, the omelette has is sweet, sour, salty. Oh, the bread is sweet, sour, bitter. So you need to eat with the mindfulness. So when you're taking shower, so I'm going to take shower. I'm opening the bathroom door. I'm taking off my clothes. I'm on the switch. I'm applying the soap. You need to act with the mindfulness. If you do this for 1 month, only 1 month, then you can be very good in mindfulness. You can have a good mindfulness. Based on my experience, I checked. Within short time, maybe within 3 minutes, I have done so many things without having mindfulness. Then I realized, oh, I have done this and this and this, but I don't remember I have done it. Therefore, generally, you need mindfulness, awareness. And also, our mind is so busy. Physically, you say, oh, I'm resting in my home. I'm resting in my bed. Physically, your body is resting. Physically, you are not busy. You just, sitting on the chair, sitting on the bed. Physically, you look very relaxed. But the mind never rests. The mind is going everywhere, thinking so many things. We have so many thoughts. We keep thinking so many things about so many things. Almost more than how we think about. Nothing relevant to your daily life. None of them relevant to your daily practice. None of them our personal business. Still, we think too much for others. This person, that family. Oh, this must be done. This can be done. For example, this day, so the COVID problems. Many Singaporeans very kind of, worry, exciting about how the COVID spread in all over India. You don't need to worry. This is not your business. Last week, I think the England, I think the prince, right? Princess or prince, he passed away. It's big news. Also, some of you keep thinking about how he passed away, what happened for the family. It's not our business. You stop. You just think which is relevant for your daily life, relevant for your study and practice, relevant for your daily business and family. You need to reduce a lot of thoughts. If you reduce so many thoughts, which is thinking for others, then you have become quite relaxed, mentally become relaxed. If you do this, then I think for you very easy to have mindfulness, awareness. If you have done things without mindfulness, then when you do meditation on your breath, your mind just stay on your breathing. So at the beginning, when we do meditation, suddenly everybody can feel the vibration of heart, the vibration of lungs. It was so busy. So when you do meditation, suddenly you can feel, the vibration of heart, the vibration of lungs, also, headache, backache, so and so. Please ignore all of them. Still try to focus on your breath. So this is answer the person who asked me question by message. Is there any question?
Yes, Geshe-la. So, Christine, would you like to pose a question?
Yes, good morning, Geshe-la. Thank you. When we see people suffering, we always say, oh, we have compassion for this person and all that. So can Geshe-la explain what actually is compassion or great compassion in the Buddhist context? Thank you.
Thank you so much for asking the question. I think yes, this morning I was thinking, what is the differences like and love? Like and love. In our whole life, we have been saying, I like this, I like this, I love them, I love them. First, we need to think, what is the differences I like, I love. Number one. Number two, love has a different layers. Oh, I love my family. I love my friends. You differentiate what's the differences between these two love. Therefore, generally, we need not just be saying, we need to know the differences between like, love. Love with your friends, love your families. Then love your life partner, boyfriends and girlfriends. There's so many different layers. Second, related to your question, it's very, very important to know the differences. What is the differences? Love, the generally, and from the Buddhist point of view. Based on Buddha teaching, we say karuna, compassion, mitri, love. Love, compassion, karuna, mitri. The love, the compassion based on Buddha teaching. From the Buddhist point of view, we use these words only for living being. Only for living being who has a mind, who has a feeling. We don't have a compassion for tree, flower, food. We don't have a love, for food, flower, environment. No, the love, compassion only apply towards sentient beings. So compassion means when we see the suffered person who has a suffering, if you have a thought, oh, I wish the person be happy, wish to achieve happiness, wish to be happy is a love. The person, the suffered person, the suffered being wish to be happy is a love. Wish to free from suffering is a compassion. Right? That means both love and compassion, absorbing, focusing the suffered being, and wish a person be happy. Wish to have a lot of happiness is a love. wish the person free from problem, wish to free the person from suffering is a compassion. So when somebody asks, please generate love, then you just visualize the suffering being, all sentient being. I wish all sentient being be happy and cause of happiness. Mean you are generating love. Second, I ask, please generate compassion. Again, visualize or remember the suffering beings and wish the being free from suffering and cause of suffering. So this is a difference between love and compassion. Also different and how to differentiate the general love and compassion. Got clear?
Yes, Geshe-la. Then if we often hear people say, oh, I love this food, because just now Geshe-la says that love and compassion is only for living beings. So the people say that, oh, I love this food, or I love that dress or shoes. So what does that mean?
This means you say this one, you totally same meaning like. Like, I really love mean I'm very much like the food. That means when you eat the food, again, another thing I always think is important to explain. When you say, I really love durian, right? Durian, it doesn't, you are not talking about the color and shape. Doesn't matter what kind of color, what kind of shape, the shape the durian has. When you say, I really like durian, I really love to eat durian, mean you are very much clinging the tasty of the durian. When the taste come to your tongue, due to certain reason, you feel it's very, very pleasant taste. You feel very happy. That means actually whatever we say, I like the food, I like the color, I like the taste, whatever, you are really like the feeling, right? For example, in the past, is very strange. In the past, ancient time, people feel very embarrassed to wear, like pants with a hole behind or the knee. People feel very embarrassed to wear the kind of clothes with a lot of kind of holes. Yes. Now, many young people very much happy to wear the fashion clothes, lot of holes. That means when the person wear this kind of clothes, he have a very pleasant feeling. Actually, he or she like the clothes, mean when he or she wear the clothes, he feel very pleasant feeling. That means actually he or she very much clinging that kind of pleasant feeling. Therefore, when you say I like the food, mean you are very much attached the tasty of the food. Taste the food. Also, I very much like the clothes and shoes. You doesn't care much about the shape, but when you wear the clothes, wear the shoes, is suitable for or not for you feel is very nice. These are actually, I think we can call, is totally illusion. Totally illusion. Yeah, that's why I say, like, love. I very much like, love my family, love my friends, love my life partner. There's been different layers. Then particularly based on the Buddha teaching, from the Buddhist point of view, love and compassion is totally different.
Okay, thank
Yes.
you. Thank you.
Next question, please.
Yeah, Geshe-la, The next question comes from Pema Joka.
Mhm.
She has a question on page 49 of Guru Puja text,
Mhm.
where the verse says, "Thereby we are purged of our four obscuration, receive the four totally pure empowerments, and attain the four Buddha bodies." So can you explain what does it mean by the four obscuration and four Buddha bodies in the verse? Thank you.
Thank you so much for asking this question. According to the Tantrayana teachings, empowerment is very important. Empowerment, initiation. I say very important, but most of us not really stable. We are not the perfect vessel to receive the initiation. So therefore, when you read in the last two stanza of the foundation of all good qualities, based on bodhicitta, renunciation, wisdom, you need to rely on the qualified gurus and receive the initiation. After you receive initiation, you need to maintain the samaya. You need to practice the two stages for four seasons, morning, afternoon, late afternoon, evening, initiation. So initiation has there's like a 10, 12, 15 different initiation. Actually, all initiation, there's a four initiation. The vast initiation, secret initiation, instruction initiation, Bhumang, Sawang, and the wisdom initiation. Vast initiation, secret initiation, instruction initiation, then the wisdom initiation. Bhumang, Sawang, Shevang. Bhumang, Sawang, Shevang. Yeah, third is the wisdom initiation. The fourth is the instruction initiation. The fourth initiation transform our body, speech, mind into Buddha. Therefore, there's a four Buddha's body. The fourth obstacle is the negative karma we have accumulated from body, speech, mind, three, all together. That's the fourth obscuration. The negative karma accumulated from body, speech, mind, there's a three, then all together, accumulate through all together, the fourth negative karmas. Also, for obscuration, obscure the initiation to transform your body into Buddha body. Then the rest of I don't think is a very stable to explain. So four initiation, four obscurations, four body is linked with the Vajrayana practice. Yeah, today I can explain only this.
And the next question comes from Hui Ling. Can Geshe-la please explain what does renouncing the worldly pleasure mean for a lay person? And how should we practice renunciation in daily life as a beginner?
Turning from the worldly pleasure is a very simple, whether it's a lay person or whether it's a full audience person. So we practice the path to achieve liberation, to achieve Buddhahood. The pleasure also, whatever we seek in this life, only we are seeking the samsaric pleasure. eating food, eating good food, eating very good food. Also, we are seeking the samsaric or worldly pleasure. Wearing clothes, wearing expensive clothes, wearing expensive watch, using the expensive jewelry, whatever. We are mainly seeking the physical happiness. Also mainly seeking the worldly pleasures. When we practice renunciation, we need to see, we need to think all the samsaric pleasure, samsaric happiness are suffering. You need to stop to pursuing the samsaric pleasure and happiness. Because you are looking more than that. You are looking happiness which is totally free from suffering, totally free from the samsara. That means you need to consider all the samsaric pleasure, happiness actually is suffering. You need to renounce this kind of pleasure and happiness. So renunciation, the meaning is come later parts, because again, renunciation, many people think we don't need anything. Whatever we have, we need to throw away. It's a very big misunderstanding. Therefore, again, some of you very much like very particular food, particular drink, particular breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You always wish to eat, this breakfast, this lunch, this dinner. This means you are very strong, have a desire, attachment with the samsaric pleasure. When you cannot get the particular breakfast usually you eat, whole day you are very unhappy, you are very angry, you are very disappointment, because you cannot give up the pleasure which arises from the breakfast, which arises from particular dinner and drink. So this means what Kadamba Master says, if you be like a ordinary, if you always try to be like try to be as other, you cannot be pure Dharma practitioner. If your mind always attached with the samsaric happiness, samsaric pleasure, samsaric happiness can be happy about having money, happy about having good house, happy about having high position, happy about having lot of different kinds of food and drink. These are the samsaric pleasures. So you need to renounce this kind of pleasure. You need to stop to pursuing this kind of happiness based on knowing those are actually suffering. Then you are looking more than that, which is the happiness based on abandon the samsara, based on abandon the root of samsara. So it comes later more precisely. Thank you so much. Next question, please.
Yeah, so Geshe-la, is it wrong or is it not wrong to just seek to achieve samsaric happiness?
It depends on individual. If you cannot really, practice the path to achieve liberation, to achieve Buddhahood, then you try to achieve the samsaric happiness, which is kind of happiness. It doesn't harm other, doesn't harm yourself. Make sure how I said, it doesn't harm other, doesn't harm yourself. For example, people always drink alcohol, smoking. When they are smoking, when they are drinking alcohol, they feel happy. It's also samsara happiness. If you seeking this kind of happiness, is harm yourself, harm for others. That means the samsaric pleasure, happiness must be happy yourself, happy for others, don't harm yourself, don't harm others. Therefore, it depends on individual. For example, when you practice the small path, you need to practice the 10 virtues action, no killing, no lying, not having sexual misconduct, not stealing. Therefore, you are taught to avoiding the non-virtuous action. Through them, you can have a samsaric happiness, which is the standard samsaric happiness, not the just short-term samsaric happiness. The answer for you, say it depends on the person. We cannot say right, we cannot say wrong. If you wish to achieve liberation, seriously wish to achieve liberation, still seeking the samsaric very much pleasure is wrong. That means you want to be a very healthy person. At the same time, you are eating unhealthy food. It doesn't make sense. So in the one hand, you are seeking liberation. In the other hand, you are trying to pursue the samsaric pleasure. It doesn't make sense. Okay? Next question, please. Oh.
11:34.
It's 11:30. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let me know the timing. Hello, everybody. So thank you so much attending the Sunday class. And I really wish you have a happy Sunday. I really wish, all of you can able to practice Dharma little by little, every day, maybe 3 times, morning, afternoon, evening, very short time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, okay. So please practice the Dharma as much as you can. Thank you so much, and please dedicate the merit to benefit all sentient beings, particularly dedicate the merit to benefit you, your families and friends.